In our last episode, we struggled a bit, but eventually removed our nav station successfully, and while we sorted out our exact plans for the new space, it was time to tackle the much feared countertop. Next came the removal of the sink, and since we were replacing all the hoses anyway, we didn't need to be dainty about it.
I don't remember anything. Good?
Good enough.
Okay. Start pushing up, I'll start lifting. It's attached in the back somewhere.
Yes! Oh, I'm excited to get our new sink in there. I'm coming in! Okay.
More said. Start with more of this.
After 6 months, we've got to get into the quarter berth to get to the sink that we stashed all the way back there. Let me just show you what we have to deal with. Got all of our oil over here. All of this stuff that we've accumulated from construction work and plumbing. More supplies. And you can't even see it back there. But there should be a sink somewhere in there. So, gotta somehow get through all of that to get the sink out. And then put all that back because there's no space on the boat for it otherwise. Here we go.
Got it?
Got it.
Yay!
I really hope we measured this correctly.
I got a big piece.
Oh wow.
Open air, side by side we sway there in all the colors. Some love, lonesome dove, folded on the lawn chair.
Turtle is once again a mess on the inside. We've kind of thrown everything all over the place as we're working on this kitchen project. We've got the template down to cut out the sink, which is awesome, and we watched some videos. We're basically ready to go on kind of getting this cut out correctly. Then we can dry fit it and get it in. But before we do that, we wanted to make sure that we were actually happy with the existing counter having something on top of it. So 6 months ago, we bought this marble material, well, marble flooring material, and we were going to kind of, it's this flooring that slots together, so we're going to put it together, put it onto the counter, cut it out, and make that our new countertop. Doesn't look quite right. We're just the way that it kind of joins together, there's a bit of a seam. The actual material itself is not very shiny, and the old material was, so kind of worked with kind of the white trim that we had around the boat. And just the way it looks with the wood also doesn't really seem to work that well. So there's a couple of solutions. We might epoxy it just to give it a kind of a clear, shiny layer on top, but we're not sure we want that. So I think it's back to the drawing board for a little bit. We're going to see if there's maybe another material we get. Maybe we remove this existing wood and replace it with something else entirely. But it's time to go do some more research.
Alright, first up in countertop research is Lowe's. We'll see what they have to offer, and we've got a few other places lined up to see if they've got some other options and maybe some new interesting options we haven't even thought about. We're only going to do our countertop once, so might as well do it right.
Good.
We bought one of our fillets so that we could see what it looks like in comparison to it. And these are the butcher blocks. So I think we want either butcher block or countertop that kind of looks like marble. And if I compare the butcher block, I don't know. I think the black walnut looks really good with it. Or the maple looks really good with it because the maple looks really nice and light. And they are about, the black walnut or the maple was $112 per square foot, and the black walnut's $134. So that gives us kind of a starting point of if we got countertop here, how much that would be. And we've measured it out. We don't know exactly what our square footage is. Calculate that out when we are working with them, but it's good to know. So Lowe's was a little bit of a sticker shock. We didn't realize, well, I think originally we had realized it, and that's why we were trying some of the cheaper flooring material to be on tiles, because we just didn't think we wanted to spend that kind of money, 6-7 months ago. But now I think it's worth it. I don't know if the Lowe's prices are worth it. We do have a store or two we're going to tomorrow that might have much better pricing on all of these things. We're also going to go check out a hardwood supplier store that might have some other options. But overall, I think the idea is that we're going to put the new countertop on top of this. So we're going to seal this with epoxy so that this wood doesn't rot and this stays strong. There are a lot of places at this wood has started to blacken and rot because this counter was not even close to sealed up against damage, which is quite ironic on where it is and what function it serves. But overall, it's going to go right on top. We're going to actually make quite a bit of changes to the fridge tops, but I think the biggest little change that we want to make is actually right here, if you follow me. This countertop in the back is actually very tiny. It doesn't hold anything like olive oil or anything like that. So our idea is, since this stove was put on actually right after later time, there is quite a bit of room that could sit here, could have a counter sit here and be still functional. So we're actually going to widen this out to come out a little bit, that it's still not in the way of the gimbal stove, but it's something that we can keep our more regularly used items out here. Or maybe some succulents. Who knows? It depends on if we are in the mood to kill more plants. But this countertop is coming together amazingly, hopefully. Fudge. So, We did all of this prep. It took me like a solid half an hour of making sure that we were cutting over tape and everything. And I just realized that the sink we bought is too big because the lip, while it's going all the way to the end, will come here, which was fine because we were going to have this much counter space left. But if we go under, it's about short by... So this is about where the wood comes in to support our counter. And so we're about, what, an inch out? And we bought that sink 6 months ago at a Home Depot in Florida. I don't even know if we can return it. Also, I wanted the bigger sink.
Want to talk about that?
Yeah. So, I am going to do a scathing review of this template, and Kohler, you're not gonna care because it's just me, but still, this template is what we've been following because it felt a little silly to try to put a hole using the sink, but we were so mad and sad because we thought we'd measured everything so well. So we decided, you know what, let's just put the sink on top of the counter just to see the fact that we, we're silly and bought a sink too big. But if you come with me and look, this is the hole of the old sink, and we just have it kind of in, and this basically fits the hole that we already have. And in fact, if you just lift it up and put it edge to edge, it is in fact just fine, and it needs maybe like another ½ inch of cutting. So there is no way that this template is for this sink.
I mean, and you can see here that this is the gap. This is what the template told us to cut. We would cut this whole line here out to fit a sink that basically already fits.
And I remember, oh God, okay, the sink is a little heavy. I remember measuring everything. So we were just so heartbroken, but Kohler! Yes, crisis averted, I think. It's much harder to try to cut the hole with the sink as the template, but I think it's much better to do and maybe cut with the jigsaw little by little and try to adjust as we go than to follow this template line. So yeah, and it's funny because we were joking that marine stuff never comes with templates and how nice it was that non-marine stuff does, but trust your gut, trust your measurements.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing that it's not that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
now we have a sink that still works.
Yes, it's a very pretty sink. Let's go.
Okay, so we have the final position. We're going to measure in whatever this distance is, draw the new line that much distance in, and that is our cut line, because this right here is as thick as it is underneath the counter. And it looks like, based on our measurements, which hopefully are good, that will all fit just barely. Like, just with the fillets and the back, it'll just all barely fit in, but it'll fit. We've got to freehand some of these curves because we don't have a template to work off of anymore, so there it is. That's the curve. I'm going to cut it and see what happens. Okay, these all look good. Let's do it. The new thick red line is where we're going to cut now. A few additional cuts later. Let's try one more time. Okay, there is just the barest of a gap left all around, but I think that's okay because we are going to actually raise the countertop with the new thing we're going to put on top of it. So this hole actually might be perfect once we have a little more height and the angle becomes a little less for whenever the new thing's on there. So this looks awesome. I'm really happy with it. And we are just going to leave this as is. We'll get the new countertop on top of this wood and we will be done.
Have a brand new sink. And I love the way it looks. I think with our new countertop, it's going to be amazing.
And tune in next week for the most incredible project we've ever done on Turtle.